Hi guys, in this vid I'll be showing how I created my ocean themed pixel art sketch. To start, I focused on blocking out the body shape. I aimed for a more flowy, water-like appearance, having more curves and bends instead of the straight edges. The linear parts in this is gonna be where the water's running off the body, as you can clearly see. While outlining, I felt it was a little iffy from how it was going. Didn't fit what I was imagining in my head. For my original idea, I planned to have the head surrounded by large fins and a short tail, but I decided to change things around and thought, what if the tail was more like a lanternfish, as you saw previously? I had planned to have the head positioned behind with fins stretching forward, though I don't know how well that came across. The idea was to draw a water spirit or a naiad since it would fit pretty well with, well, ocean. And that it decided to turn into more of a horror aesthetic was just a happy little accident. I put little elements that were inspired by my references, like the lanternfish light for the tail, the finned rabbit ears, which I destroyed, and what was going to be a clamshell design for the hair. While this prompt came with a limited palette of 5 colors, I had to plot out where each color would go. The brightest color was a light blue-green, and I decided to use that for the eye to keep it as the focal point. Because if you were to switch this to grayscale, the contrast would be immediate. You would see the very bright center. Needless to say, I scrapped the head design. Because, frankly, I just hated it. It had felt weird. And then I thought, what if jellyfish, but spooky? I changed the head cap to have a smoother and more rounded appearance in the reference to the actual jellyfishes. And since the darker blue color is used for the body, I shifted the colors so that it would be more hidden underneath the cap. And the many arms coming out underneath it are the only things that hint at a form underneath that hood. The single eye is still in full view, and the lighter blue spots on the cap will just subtly hint at the terrifying little secret hidden underneath it. I also added a small connection to the cap and the body because it would probably float off in space. or the ocean, I guess. I wanted to give the impression that the character was rising out of the water, and here I'd shaded like the tail for the lanternfish parts. I'd thought of adding more eyes, but it didn't really vibe with me, so I ended up scrapping that part, though I did keep the 2 little sections that you can see. The ears from my previous sketch actually did end up coming in handy, because I basically just flipped them around and destroyed them to make a blue flame-ish kind of effect. It like a dark seaweed thing you would see underneath the ocean. And it just sits there, floating menacingly. I'm sorry, I'm done. I had doubts about the palette at first, but in the end, I do think the color choice worked out pretty well for the piece. Working with limitations can be fun, while it can also suck. At first, I kept the outline on like the bottom of the tail to give the illusion of transparency. And while I was satisfied with it at the time, I didn't quite keep it there because I thought it needed a little more refining. I added more blue-black colors to add more definition because I felt it needed just a little more. It was too plain in comparison to like the rest of the picture. I added more shadows under the body to show the difference between the 2 sections, and while also still having them connected. The palette helps with that because, like, there's only so many colors. It's impossible to not. Another idea popped into my head, which you will see in like a second because I hadn't completely abandoned the idea of multiple eyeballs. For reasons. What if the area around the chest also had an eye, because it's just sitting there doing nothing at the moment. It's not bad, but it could be better. It's just gonna sit there, hovering, and be a secret little eye that you don't notice because of the shining one that is very clearly sitting right up there. This little guy is probably just a deep-sea horror that lurks in the depths. Undoubtedly not someone you want to meet in a dark night on a lake. A late night swim? Probably a terrible idea. Jokes aside, I hope you all liked the video. I hope I see you next time.